Have you ever wondered why so many people are creating their own Facebook Live videos and shows? Doesn't it seem like a lot of work and pressure just to broadcast 30 to 60 minutes of video content? What if I told you that a single 1-hour video that you broadcast live to Facebook will generate dozens and dozens of pieces of content that you can use to fuel your content marketing efforts, both on your blog and on every other major social network? And what if I told you that the combination of 2 or more of these tactics could have a multiplying effect on your audience, traffic, leads, and sales? Want to learn more? I thought so. Oh wait, so who am I? Aren't I known as a blogger? Why am I involved with a live video bootcamp? Well, truth be told, I'm probably considered an elder statesman when it comes to live video and live streaming shows. I've been doing live video since the days of Google Plus and Hangouts on Air and Blab, platforms that don't even exist anymore, yet were crucial to the development of the live streaming industry. I've interviewed some of the biggest names in the marketing industry, like Guy Kawasaki and Joe Pulizzi. And I've even interviewed folks from Hollywood, like the producer of Pretty Woman, Gary Goldstein. I've been a guest, hosted my own show, interviewed multiple guests at once, and I remote produced multiple live shows, including 2 shows a week at Agorapulse. Through it all, I have made a point to repurpose as much of that content as I could. Today, I'm the producer for a weekly live show on Fridays called Social Pulse Weekly, which we're turning into blog posts, social media content, even a podcast. And I'm also privileged to be a part of the 360 Marketing Squad, an intrepid band of rebellious marketers comprised of Jen Herman, Stephanie Liu, Amanda Robinson, and myself. In addition to running our own private community, speaking together at MDMC, and co-authoring the upcoming book, The Ultimate Guide to Social Media Marketing, the 4 of us also produced a series of Facebook Live broadcasts in 2018 and 19. I'm going to walk you through how I used each one of those 10 video episodes to create dozens of additional pieces of content. So let's begin at the beginning. Facebook Live. It's worth noting that I've chosen to recommend using Facebook Live as opposed to Instagram or YouTube or Twitter live video for a very specific reason. When you begin a live video on Facebook, Facebook will build your audience by notifying your page followers and placing your video into the feed of an increasing number of people whom Facebook believes may be interested in your content. And as each new viewer tunes in and begins to engage with your show, they increase the potential for that video to be seen by others. If I react to or comment on any Facebook post, the people connected with me on Facebook may see that activity and therefore the post itself in their feed, even if they aren't already following the original page or profile that created the post. Which means the more people you get watching and engaging with your Facebook video, the more people will be able to see it. This is a virality factor that either isn't present at all or not as effective on other platforms. Getting likes and comments on your YouTube video will not bring you more viewers, and sharing videos within YouTube still isn't a thing. Same with Instagram. Twitter is somewhat better, but still lacks the concurrent usage of Facebook. In other words, you can assume that a good portion of your audience is actually using Twitter at the same time you are? Yeah, I don't think so. The other brilliant reason for broadcasting live to Facebook that my friend and colleague Stephanie Liu teaches involves the use of Facebook ads. As you get more and more people to view your videos, not only are you building a captive audience for your lives, you're also building an audience that you can target with Facebook ads. If you're utilizing live video to build know, like, and trust, and you should be, targeting those audiences with relevant ads and offers is a brilliant play. So that covers the strategy behind using live video plus Facebook. What we'll be covering through the rest of this is 100% tactical after your Facebook Live. Now note, for the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to assume that you're doing a regular weekly Facebook Live video and that you're going to interview a guest expert each week. You can choose to broadcast less often. You can choose to broadcast by yourself or with a co-host, or even have a panel of people. They're all viable options. Oh, well, there's a couple of things I forgot to mention, which technically aren't additional pieces of content. They still leverage that original Facebook video, but damn, these are cool. So tactic 00, featured and cross-posted videos. First, every Facebook page has a videos tab that will list all your most recent videos. Just like on YouTube, you can organize them into playlists. So consider the kinds of videos you're creating and how your audience might benefit from having them organized in that way. But there's one other really cool feature, and that is, well, featured. Featured video, I mean. At the top of your videos tab, you can choose to display a single video the full width of the column. Take advantage of that real estate. Sure, you can put a video about your business there that's super boring, or you can rotate in some of your most exciting live videos. Second, you can leverage partners with other Facebook pages and cross-post your videos to those pages. Cross-post is not the same as share. When a video is cross-posted by another page owner, they essentially create a new post with that same video on their page that goes live at the exact same moment. In addition to getting your content in front of their page audience, you can also get the benefit of aggregated metrics. As the video owner, you get to see the combined statistics for views and engagement. Videos can be cross-posted both while live and even after the broadcast. It just depends on what the other page owner wants to do and what's to let you do. When we broadcast one of our 360 Marketing Live videos, we automatically cross-post the live broadcast to each of our respective Facebook pages, adding exponentially more reach and potential. Cool, huh? Now, let's get into the first actual tactic for creating additional content. Tactic 01, YouTube. Because once that broadcast is finished, download the video file and upload it to YouTube. Every other week, Stephanie, Jen Herman, Amanda Robinson, and myself had that live broadcast we called 360 Marketing Live that we sent to Facebook using Ecamm and Skype. Once it was done, I grabbed the video file and logged into YouTube and our 360 Marketing Squad channel. There's an upload button in the upper right that I can click, select my video file, and begin to upload. Now, a 30 to 60 minute show is going to generate a rather large video file, so be patient here. While the video is uploading, you can change the title. Don't use the default file name, as well as enter a description. Typically, the title of your Facebook Live and show description will work just fine here. Select tags for your video that are appropriate for the content, and when the video is finished uploading, select a thumbnail image. This is a single frame from the video that YouTube viewers will see before they begin watching. It's actually a good idea here to upload a custom graphic that has the show title on it. I always create a graphic to pre-promote shows and use them when creating Facebook events. That same graphic works great for the YouTube video. You can choose to add the video to an existing playlist and even tweet it out for some additional exposure, then click on Publish. Now here's a pro tip. Go into your video settings, go to transcripts, and review the automated captions that YouTube created for your show. You can then download the entire text of the show as a text file. You can probably guess how we're going to use that later. And that's your first major repurposing. If you pair Ecamm with a service like Restream.io, you can actually bounce the broadcast through Restream and send it live to Facebook as well as YouTube simultaneously, saving this step. Tactic 02, Slideshare. Y'all know that Slideshare is owned by LinkedIn and is one of the most effective platforms for sharing and driving business. Anna Hoffman used Slideshare to drive 250,000 views. And you can too. The trick with Slideshare is that your content needs to be an infographic or a presentation file like PowerPoint. But wait, Mike, I thought we were talking about video. Well, you're right, Barbara, we are. Here's how it works. Open your Google Drive account and create a new Google Slides file. If you're going to do this regularly, I'd absolutely recommend customizing a template for yourself so you can keep your presentations branded easily. Note, you can absolutely use PowerPoint or Keynote for this step if you prefer. Next, create at least 2 slides for your presentation, an initial title slide and a closing slide. Feel free to add more if you wish, but your video is going to exist between 2 distinct slides, so you don't need more than 2. Save your presentation as a PDF file. Now you can sign into Slideshare. Click on Upload and select your new PDF presentation file. Fill in the relevant details and publish it. Now here's where the magic happens. Click Edit onto the presentation you wish to add the YouTube video to. Click the Add YouTube Video tab at the top of the page. Enter the URL for the YouTube video that you uploaded in the previous step. Then you can select the placement of the YouTube video within your presentation, and you can add more videos if you want to, but you don't have to. Once you've inserted all of your videos or your main video, click Insert and Publish, and the video will now appear inside your Slideshare presentation. If you have a specific call to action within the video, that last slide is actually a great place to reinforce that, particularly if there's a link you wish them to follow. And here's another quick tip. If you use Google Slides and saved a PDF, links will still work. If you're using PowerPoint, you'll need to edit the PDF using Adobe Acrobat. So that's one additional piece of content for you. Next, pull that video file into iMovie or Camtasia or whatever you prefer to use for video editing, because you're going to work some magic now. Tactic number 3, podcast. Save the audio as a separate MP3 file because you can use that to power a podcast. You can start a Libsyn hosting account for as little as $5 a month and begin to upload your audio files there. For most Facebook Lives, the audio will require, let's say, minimal editing. It's great to have an intro and an outro for your podcast. These are standard bits of audio that you'd splice into the recording that add branding and standard information to every one of your podcasts. You can also choose to edit out any technical issues or unnecessary conversation that might have occurred, and then you're done. You can actually launch a podcast and make it available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, with as few as 1 single episode. However, I do recommend that you have at least 4 episodes in the can, so to speak, that you can release weekly or even drop all at once, ensuring constant activity. Podcasts, like Facebook Lives, benefit greatly from a regular schedule that your growing audience can rely on. When you set up your Libsyn account, you simply create a feed for your podcast, including the title and description of the show. That's the entire show, not just one episode. And then you set that feed up to distribute new episodes as soon as you upload them. This tactic actually results in 3 pieces of content thanks to the use of multiple distribution networks. And here's a bonus tactic. Once you have your podcast up and running, it's relatively simple matter to create a feed of shorter audio clips and push them out as an Alexa flash briefing. I originally did this with our entire podcast recordings, which averaged over 45 minutes in length each. That's a bit long. But I recommend you just use new or short recording segments that you maybe introduce and announce your latest episode. Tactic 4, Audiograms. This is going to generate so many cool pieces of content for you. Are you familiar with Audiograms? Well, you might have seen them on LinkedIn, where they seem to be extremely popular. They're essentially videos, but instead of using actual video footage, there's usually a static graphic with an audio waveline moving in accordance with an audio clip of someone speaking. Here's an example with my friend Mark Schaefer, and I'm going to let the full minute play since his advice, as always, is golden.
The economics of content are changing. And now we're starting to really see it show up in data, in things that we can measure. If you look at Facebook reach, why is organic reach going down? Simple. There's too much stuff. There's too much stuff. On average, a customer on Facebook can see 1,500 stories a day. So Facebook has to edit, 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 take the content down, take the content down. So for me and you, our businesses of just a few years ago, we might be able to get 30% of our followers to actually see the content. Today, it's maybe on average 2%.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't be successful on Facebook, but there's just too much stuff. And the first thing Facebook is going to take out is business content.
In this typical audiogram, we have a relatively short clip plus whatever information we want to include on the graphic. People enjoy listening to the recording, and you can provide them with a link to the Facebook Live or blog post or wherever you wish to drive traffic to. And these audiograms can be uploaded to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and even Pinterest. You see this one's on YouTube. The beauty of audiograms is that they're incredibly easy to make. You can create audiograms for free using headliner.app. That's APP. You upload your audio file, up to 10 minutes of audio, although I prefer to edit out the clip I want to use before uploading. You select the audio that you want to use, and then you choose your aspect ratio and select a background image, which I just make using easel. You can customize with different wave appearances, automatic captions, and more. While most audiograms are made square, you can choose landscape or portrait for use in, say, Instagram stories. In fact, once you finish your audiogram and download it, you can easily convert it into another version and size to easily repurpose the same audiogram elsewhere. With Headliner, you can pull out one or more clips from your Facebook Live and share them out as quick segments. These might be quotes, answers to questions, or even funny moments from your show. The possibilities are literally endless. Let's assume that you find one great answer from your guest and create a 1-minute clip and audiogram. You can upload a square version to Instagram, landscape versions to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest, and portrait versions to Facebook stories, both personal and pages, and even groups, and Instagram stories, if you splice the Instagram story video using an app like Clip. You can even upload to TikTok. Yeah, that's at least 8 new pieces of content, but we're just getting warmed up. How about tactic number 5, Twitter videos? If you can upload an audiogram video file to Twitter, you can certainly upload regular video. In fact, Twitter supports up to 2 minutes and 20 seconds of video content. That's a golden opportunity to find a great soundbite, intro your interview, or share a funny segment. Again, your video editing software is your friend here, as it will make it super easy to select the clip you want to share and edit it out. Note that if you're pairing Restream.io with Ecamm, like I mentioned earlier, you can broadcast natively to Twitter, or at least Twitter's live streaming integrated platform, Periscope. You'll need to create a Periscope account using your Twitter profile, and when you broadcast to Periscope, the live video will show up right in your Twitter feed. But before you create that 2-minute and 20-second clip, consider some of the other networks you might want to share that to, as they all have different requirements. So that's tactic number 6, Facebook feed videos. We started with a Facebook Live video, so why am I about to suggest sharing segmented versions of that same broadcast back to Facebook? Well, first, not everyone tuned into your live broadcast, no matter how popular it was. So sharing it or segments of it again just makes good sense. And it's possible that you might want to leverage your personal profile or Facebook groups you're a member of, or even other pages you control to share some key takeaways from that live broadcast. Plus, there's a big difference in commitment between watching your 1-hour broadcast and watching a 60-second clip. Your audience may really appreciate being able to snack on part of the video before deciding to watch the whole thing. So, while you can technically upload up to 1 hour and 20 minutes of video, you don't need to or want to here. Just consider sharing whatever video segments you create and can even spread them out over time. Agorapulse, for instance, will help you to schedule video content to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. So that's additional piece of content, 1+. Next is tactic 7, LinkedIn feed videos. The same video segments that you create for Twitter or Facebook will work great for LinkedIn. And you can upload up to 10 minutes of video to that network, so length won't usually be an issue. Though you might want to test sharing longer segments of your interviews just to LinkedIn from time to time. Pro tip. Remember how I mentioned earlier how you can download the captions for your videos from YouTube? Headliner automatically does the same thing for your audiograms. But what about these shorter clips? Well, Headliner can help with those too. Just choose Video Transcript instead of Audiogram Wizard for your new project. You may know, of course, that LinkedIn also has a live video feature, but it's still in beta and access is limited. If you're fortunate enough to have applied and been accepted, you can again use Restream.io to simulcast your live video to this network. Once that's done, you can still repurpose and share the shorter segments here, just like you've done to Facebook and elsewhere. Tactic number 8, Instagram feed videos. So far, you've created one or more video clips that can be shared to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Since the video was originally recorded in 16:9 ratio, that's landscape, those segmented versions will work fine on those networks. Now, however, you do need to create a different version of that same clip. Instagram's feed is all about the square. Within your video editing software, simply look for the option to change the aspect ratio of the video you created. This will likely give you a selector you can use to make sure the visible area of the video makes sense. Note that in addition to being limited to a 1:1 aspect ratio, Instagram feed videos can be 60 seconds maximum. Be careful to stick to that within your editor, as Instagram will simply cut your video at 60 seconds, whether it's finished or not, making for a relatively poor experience. But you can also choose to upload up to 10 minutes of video to IGTV and even tease those new videos in your feed. Additional pieces of content? Oh, at least one or more. Tactic number 9, Instagram story videos. Creating video segments for Instagram stories is a bit more challenging since it's a 9:16 aspect ratio or portrait style. And no, you can't just rotate your video 90 degrees. One option is to use the square version, and it will simply appear centered on the screen with colored space above and below. Or, if the original recorded video allows creatively, you can try cropping it to 9:16. This generally only works if there's a single person speaking who can still be framed within that box. One of the other creative solutions I've seen is to use the square version of the video, but then make best use of the space inside your video editor by adding the captions below the video and maybe a title and graphics and branding above the video. Either way, this is another great place to share quick segments up to 15 seconds. If you use that Clip app or something similar, you can splice your longer video into 15-second segments and simply upload them in order. Instagram followers will be able to watch them in succession easily. As an added bonus, you could use this same content on TikTok as well. Additional pieces of content, boom, 2+. Tactic 10, Pinterest video pins. Did you know Pinterest supports native video uploads? Up to 15 minutes of video, in fact. So while not long enough for most entire shows, definitely long enough for a fun segment. You can upload any of the versions you've created so far, particularly if you manage to create a tall portrait version of the video. Tactic 11, quote graphics. It never fails. When I have a great guest on the show, I'll ask questions and they'll start sharing the knowledge that's in their head and they'll end up saying extraordinary things. Sometimes those things might just be a sentence or two, yet they're simply brilliant. Those statements make for great quote graphics. As you're editing and re-listening to your interview, watch out for those one-liners and make note of them. Then you can open Easel and make one or more quote graphics. You can have these templated in advance so that all you have to do is enter the text of the quote and the interviewee's name. I recommend landscape graphics for Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn, square graphics for Instagram, and portrait graphics for Pinterest, as well as story posts on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and whatever other platforms decide to implement a story post type. Now here's tactic number 12, and you guessed it, my favorite one. How about an epic blog post and newsletter? So far, you've already created a tremendous amount of content out of that one video, but you're about to pull it all together. The blog post is the one piece of content that will live on your website, your property. So it's remarkably important and worth taking your time on. But fortunately, it won't take you too long at all. There are a number of ways you can go with the blog post version of your Facebook Live in terms of what content is actually included. The easy option is use the title of your show, embed the Facebook Live, and copy and paste the transcript from YouTube. Whip up some graphics and easel, and you'll be all set in a matter of minutes. And there's nothing wrong with this approach. But if you want your content to perform better long term, you could spend a few more minutes and try the moderate option. In addition to everything outlined in the easy option, consider adding a summary at the beginning that is based on your initial show description. Explain what the show was about, who was on it, and what you covered, letting your audience know up front what they're going to learn and why it's worth their time is a smart play. It will encourage more people to keep reading and or watch the embedded video interview. Or you might choose the advanced option. This choice requires more time and effort on your part, but it will absolutely pay off. Instead of just a quick summary at the beginning, you will walk through all of the major discussion points from the show and draw them out, pull quotes, and share conclusions. You will create a piece of content that could easily be read on its own without the video or transcript and be just as easily understood. Note here that no matter which approach you take, you will embed the Facebook recorded video, not YouTube or any other. This is because as readers find your blog post, some will choose to watch the video. Each new viewer may choose to like or comment on the Facebook post, which they can do right from your blog post. Remember how we outlined earlier the benefits of getting engagement on your Facebook posts? Well, that's true no matter how old the posts are or where they're embedded. Getting readers to engage with your embedded Facebook Live videos will push those videos back into the newsfeed. Again, this goes back to the benefit of using Facebook over other platforms. It's simply better for growing an audience. And as Facebook Watch develops, Facebook's repository of videos to watch, there's even greater potential in the future. Always include at least one image with your blog post, as well as links to any individuals or resources mentioned in the post. If you're leveraging the podcast channels, you can also embed the Libsyn player and encourage readers to subscribe to your podcast if they like the audio version. The quote graphics you already made are great highlights to sprinkle throughout your content, even other posts. And once you've published your blog post, promote it everywhere. Don't forget to share the blog post with your email subscribers. Even the smallest list can help drive video views and engagement. Oh, and there's one more fun bonus trick you can do at this stage of the game. If you chose the advanced option, take that expanded, elaborate blog post and turn it into a PDF ebook that you can offer website visitors to download. Brilliant, eh? One last tactic you can employ within a blog post or even in other places throughout your site is click-to-tweet quotes. A click-to-tweet is a quote you pulled from the interview and set up a button that allows your readers to click and have a pre-filled tweet ready to share. They're really effective at getting additional shares and fresh content to Twitter, and they're easy to build. Copy the quote you want to share and go to click-to-tweet.com. You paste in that text, the interviewee's name, and a link to your post. Click-to-tweet will give you a single short link that you can apply to some tweet this text or button. If you use Social Warfare for your social sharing buttons, you can also use their widget and shortcode. This is better than just sharing the quoted text straight to Twitter yourself. You can certainly make use of the click-to-tweets yourself, but so will some of your readers. I recommend using just 1 or 2 click-to-tweet quotes throughout your post. It's been shown statistically that if you use 4 or more, readers tend to ignore those subsequent tweets. So in addition to the Facebook Live video itself and any cross-posting you might have done, following these steps will give you 26 additional pieces of content. The YouTube video, podcast, and blog posts can be edited and published relatively soon after the broadcast, while the additional content in social posts can be spread out over time, months. You can choose to let the social posts stand on their own, link to the Facebook recorded video, or link to the blog post. I prefer to have all roads lead to Rome, the blog post, but that can vary depending on your specific goals and CTAs. What if you aren't comfortable yet with your Facebook Live video production? What if you feel like it needs to get better or you haven't even started yet? Well, that's what the rest of this Leap into Live Bootcamp is for. I hope you've enjoyed my session, and more importantly, I hope you'll make good use of all the fantastic presentations and speakers participating in this summit so that you, too, can use live streaming video to reach new audiences and establish know, like, and trust. I'm Mike Allton, and I thank you for your time.